As for the game, well, I think we all kind of knew that the Eagles' big play capabilities plus CC Brown was bad news, and that's pretty much what happened. I mean, the Eagles were scoring so fast in this game, they lost time of possession, I think. I think the Giants actually held the ball longer than the Eagles because the Eagles were scoring so fast. I mean, that's crazy when you think about it. Usually, yeah, the Giants actually had the ball for 35 minutes plus. That that's ridiculous to get blown out when you have the ball for 35 minutes plus in a game. And I watched part of this game on Red Zone Channel, and the Giants. Every time I was tuning into them, they looked freaking awful. Eli looked like a rookie. The running game was not stellar, but it was passable, but they weren't quite using it in the right way. They really should have abandoned the run way sooner than they did. The Giants receivers went up to make plays when they could, but there weren't enough plays to be made. The fumble on special teams, the missed field goal. Defensively, I guess they got pressure, but again, it's the CC Brown thing. He is just complete garbage, and I can't believe he was allowed on an NFL roster after what he did in Houston. But he does suck, and the Eagles did this without Westbrook too. And I know Westbrook isn't necessarily a devastating loss to them because of the way they run their offense and because of guys like LaShawn McCoy, but he's still their best running back. So, just saying. Rams Lions. Oh God, this game lived up to being a big toilet bowl. You had a field goal kicker throwing a touchdown, which is cool, but it shows complete ineptitude on the part of the other team. I'll say it. It's happened to Seattle, I think, once last year, and I'll say it. That's ineptitude. You had two quarterbacks completing less than 50% of their passes, both threw no touchdowns, both threw one pick. You had a guy pick off a pass in the end zone, run out, then run back in, get tackled for a safety. You had everything you could imagine from a game this miserable. Just nothing good. I mean, it's tough to say what to talk about except for Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson, right now, making some teams regret that they didn't try harder to trade for him at the deadline. But and right now he might be regretting that nobody traded for him at the deadline because he just had the game of his life just so the Rams could scrape out what will probably be their one win this year. But disappointed in Detroit. I was hoping Stafford would have a nice game, but I don't think he had Calvin Johnson. But still, it's the Rams, dude. So got to play better than that. And I really thought they could take care of business, but they're awful. The Rams are awful. So it's just a crapshoot, right? Raiders Chargers 24-16. Raiders hung in there. They played some tough man-to-man defense. Played the run pretty well. Russell was survivable in the second half. He was still bad, but he was tolerable. I thought they ran the ball okay. I mean, Justin Fargas, that dude runs hard. He should be on a better team because with how hard he runs, he should be on a good team. I really liked what I saw from Fargas today because I actually got the full game on one of my channels, but I didn't watch too much of it. But that dude runs hard, and the way he was plowing over people was great to watch. Zach Miller, the dude gets open, and Russell from time to time does find him, and Miller's not having that bad a year, so you like to see stuff like that, I suppose. And at the end of the day, the Chargers are much more talented, and that's how they won this game. But excuse me, the Raiders played tough. They really did. Um, Jacksonville, Tennessee. This game was trouble. I really didn't want to pick this game. I think I said it before because both these teams. How can you pick? I can never feel good about picking either of these guys. They are both just so depressing to actually predict to win. And I know Jacksonville's only 3-4 or whatever, but it's just depressing. They needed overtime to beat the Rams. I don't know, but Vince Young played a nice game. They called a perfect game for him, and he did what he needed to do. Chris Johnson, maybe the best running back in the league this year. but he has obviously no chance at winning an MVP or anything. But that dude's, I avoided him in fantasy, so shows what I know sometimes, right? But I thought the Titans, more than anything, just called a really good game. The way they ran the ball predominantly, the way they used Vince Young, um, limiting the damage their lackluster receivers could do, and defensively forcing turnovers, getting pressure. Now, oddly enough, they couldn't stop the run, and I. It feels like in weeks past that was one thing the Titans could do well, but this week they couldn't stop the run, but they sure as hell stopped the pass. So I don't know what to tell you about that, but maybe they changed something up over the bye week, and they got a lot of quarterback pressure, and Garrard really couldn't do anything out there, and just really a good game for them simply because they called it well. They did everything they needed to do, and they come out looking actually not too bad for the future, but the season's already over. Vikings Packers, I pretty much watched this whole game. Nice game. Green Bay, good job falling down 3 touchdowns and then getting back in and making it a good game because I thought it was going to get boring, but offensive line did step up. They're still flawed, but they stepped up a little bit. Rodgers stepped up. Greg Jennings and Donald Driver were making plays. The defense forced a couple. The defense did a couple of things. I think they forced I think they had a fumble on a kick return actually that helped swing the game. And hey, I mean the Vikings are just a much better team than them. The Packers, I still think they're going to get a wild card. I still think they're wild card quality, but they're just not as good as Minnesota this year, and that's all there is to it. Favre had an awesome game. Not as good as the one he had in the Metrodome, in my opinion, against this team, but still solid. Peterson had a nice fourth quarter with that long run and that long catch and run to put the game away. Percy Harvin making all kinds of plays, and what else can you say about that? So they they didn't look rattled at all by the situation and the scenario, and I thought both teams played well. I mean, Rodgers, yeah, a lot of those sacks were about him holding on the ball too long. I mean, he took 6 sacks, and I'd say at least 3 of them were because he was holding the ball too freaking long. But he ran the ball well when he needed to, passed the ball brilliantly, but it just wasn't enough. They couldn't run the ball today at all, except for Rodgers on bootlegs and stuff, but that's what happens when you neglect your offensive tackles for a season, I guess. Panthers, Cardinals. Cardinals are such a tease. It's really weird. But this is their team. I mean, it's not surprising that they're inconsistent. I mean, with their players, with the team they've assembled, it makes sense that they're inconsistent. They have a guy like Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie who loves to gamble for interceptions, and when he doesn't get the pick, it's ugly. It's bad, but if he does get it, it's great, but he gets burned a lot too. And, Kurt Warner at his age, he's only going to show up for about half the games. They can't really run the ball, so it's Kurt or bust, and there you go. I mean, Warner played as bad a game as any quarterback has all year. He might have been worse than Jake Delhomme ever was, so Carolina called a perfect game. They ran the ball dominantly. They barely let Jake pass. Defensively, they knew exactly what to do to get to Warner and force turnovers. And, this is what they could be. But Panthers fans, chill out. I saw all you Panthers fans getting your hopes back up because now you won this game and suddenly you're thinking playoffs again. But hope can drive a man insane. So this was your first good game all year, and we're in week 8. Just tone it down a little bit. If they piece together more good performances after this, sure, but chill out. Finally, to wrap it up, Falcons Saints, nice Monday night game. I kind of put it on the back burner because of the World Series, but it was a good game. I mean, a lot of big plays, offenses going back and forth. Matt Ryan pretty much laying an egg near the end. He didn't play awful, but he really completed a low percentage, and some of those picks were just killer. Michael Turner had his best game of the year by far. He's finally back, at least partially. And it was just a nice showcasing of the talent that both these teams have. Drew Brees had a great game. Pierre Thomas and Mike Bell played awesome. Colston, Shockey, Meacham, everybody got in on the action here, and it was a great game to watch. I enjoyed it. Obviously, the Saints kept the Falcons in the game with all their fumbles, but Matt Ryan paid them back with those interceptions, and a lot of missed field goals both ways. I don't know what was up with that, because those were really all makeable field goals. And the Saints just came out on top. I just think they're a better team this year, and sometimes there's just not much you can do. It seems like there's very little teams can do to stop this Saints team this year. And there you go. So that'll wrap it up. I'll see you guys later.